We are with Jason Crandell at San Francisco Bay Club in San Francisco. Oh, thank you so much for your class.
You're
it was
welcome.
amazing.
You're welcome. Good.
Can you tell me about how your yoga journey began?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had 1 credit hour left at San Francisco State University to graduate. And my girlfriend at the time, whose name is Cassandra Fox, who teaches a lot in the Bay Area, is a great teacher herself. At that time, she said, you need to take this class, right? And because kinesiology department was the only department that offered 1 credit hour long increments. And I did not want to do yoga. I went kicking and screaming, and I hated it.
Oh my God.
I totally hated class. It revealed all of my resistance.
Oh.
You know, how reactionary my mind is, how tight and injured my body was, because I'd played ice hockey for 15 years.
Wow.
And skateboarded since I was a young child.
Very cool.
And so it just pointed out all these things, and it made me move in a slower and more mindful way, and I didn't appreciate it in the short term. But after class, every time when class was over, I felt grounded and clear and content. And that was empirical data. So I kept coming back.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And only because it really resonated with me in class, can you speak a little about what you were saying about the subtleties once you start practicing?
Yeah, you know, I mean, any art, anything moves from gross to subtle, right? When our education and our skill increases in any given thing, we have a more refined and more subtle understanding of things. And I find in contemporary yoga, the notion of advanced is, to my way of thinking, actually inverted. Most people assume advanced as hard. So an advanced class is a harder class. And I don't think that's the case. I actually think that that's a totally flawed paradigm. And what I would say is advanced is really subtle, is really refined, is really skillful, which may or may not be hard, right? So
Exactly.
Sweating more and holding a pose for longer is harder, and there's definitely value to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean advanced. The class should be labeled more output, less output. I mean,
Right.
You know, that to me is how people are calibrating intensity of class. And I remember when I first started, there used to be 2 labels on most studios. It was skill level and intensity level.
Wow.
And so I think that over time, hopefully we will correct that and maybe re-add the intense. So I don't think certain things should be called advanced. I think they should be labeled hard or intense.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And where do you think yoga is going to be in 20 years?
Hopefully it'll be everywhere. You know, I mean, there's a teacher who used to say, yoga is a mile wide and an inch deep. You know, it's everywhere to be found, but fairly surface experience with the practice. And I don't really, you know, I actually don't think that's the case. I get to travel a lot, and I think that people's experience with yoga is very deep and very intimate. So hopefully it'll just continue to be that. More and more populations that aren't practicing right now, hopefully they'll begin their journey. And then people that have been practicing for a while, hopefully they'll just continue to drop in and deepen and refine the level of awareness and skill that they're working with.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can you tell the people that are watching how to find you?
Yeah, totally. Do you know how to use Google, people out there? It's pretty easy. But the best way is just my website is jasonyoga.com. So just jasonyoga.com. Last name is a little bit tricky to spell sometimes, so jasonyoga.com.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.